Harper Graham has a book out entitled The Cinnamon Spice Inn. It's a miscommunication trope set in a small Midwestern town entitled Maple Falls, and it centers around Madison Kelly. Madison Kelly is a young woman in her 20s who's a go-getter who left Maple Falls following college for a career as a food writer. She has a roommate named Joe in New York, and she basically has set out to do everything that she planned upon leaving Maple Falls. She unexpectedly receives an anonymous typewritten letter requesting that she return home immediately because her dad, George, needs her assistance. She complies, plans to return to Maple Falls for approximately 3 weeks and then resume her busy lifestyle in New York. Things didn't quite turn out the way that Madison had planned upon her return to Maple Falls. First night there, she stays with her grandmother, Edith, her dad, George, at a place called the Cinnamon Spice Inn, which has been in her family for decades. Madison is surprised at the state of disrepair that the Cinnamon Spice Inn has fallen into, along with the loss of revenue and the emptiness of the Cinnamon Spice Inn. Growing up under her mother's direction, the Cinnamon Spice Inn was heavily patronized, and people came from all over to frequent the Cinnamon Spice Inn because of her mother's famous cinnamon rolls, because of the hospitality, and it basically is in the center of a small town that once revolved around the tourists that were brought in to the Cinnamon Spice Inn. On her first night there, a heavy storm brings a tree down in the middle of the dining room of the Cinnamon Spice Inn. In addition to the already many needed repairs, such as electrical work and painting and just basically updating several things, now there's this tree in the middle of the dining room. Madison's dad and her grandmother, they've done all they can do to maintain the Cinnamon Spice Inn, but without the direction of Madison or her late mother, Meredith, the place just doesn't have the vitality or the revenue to survive. Enter Zach Whitaker. Zach Whitaker was once the love of Madison Kelly's life. And she arrived home from New York, unannounced, unexpected, to find him in a bar being kissed by another woman. It shattered her and it ended their relationship. And I'm not going to give any spoilers here, but basically they're both extremely attracted to one another upon seeing one another. However, Zach has abandonment issues due to his dad having walked out on his family, which included his mother and his sister, during his childhood, and having to basically rely on his mother and his grandparents to raise him along with the people in the town. So as a commercial construction and residential handyman, he feels it's his duty to assist in any way he can the townspeople of Maple Falls, because they had done so much for he and his family, mainly his mother, when his dad walked out on them. So he has a lot of pride. Madison basically was in a loving family and had everything she needed, and everybody thought they were going to get married. But due to her leaving to go to New York, due to her finding him in the arms or being kissed by another woman in the bar, things just went haywire. And Madison basically stayed away from Maple Falls for quite some time. Zach has not hooked up with anyone seriously since he and Madison's breakup, and neither has she. So the townspeople are elated that she's back for those 3 weeks. They're hoping that something happens to bring the two of them together. And Zach is contracted to help repair the Cinnamon Spice Inn. Madison would like to have someone else, but since her dad and her grandmother Edith have both promised this job to Zach, she has to basically dance around him while he's there. They're both extremely uncomfortable in the beginning in one another's presence. They snap at one another. They ignore one another. But I'm not going to give any spoilers away. You'll have to read the book to see what happens. But if you're into small town life, anything dealing with fall on a farm or at an inn, such as the food, the pumpkin spice lattes, the hay rides, the decorated pumpkin porches, all of that's here in this book by Harper Graham. The characters are extremely vivid, well developed, and so is the scenery, and so is the food description. I would highly recommend this book. Thank you to Tandem Collective for sending me an art copy. And like I said, if you're into miscommunication tropes, small town reading, small town romances, this may be something you'd like to check out. Thank you.